Hello, my friends. It's time for a massive transfer window and an end of season review. Not in that order. We'll do the end of season review first, but I just want to give you a little teaser. We're in seventh. We're in seventh on 12 points, my friends. How many points did we have last season? I don't know. Let's go take a look. We finished the season with 37. We have a third of our points total, a whopping 6 games in. It's gone well. But I want to give you a tip for you aspiring football managers. Always have a backup plan. But first, let's do the end of season review. It'll be quick, promise. Now would be the time if you want to pause to leave your comment as to who your player of the season was or signing of the horrible transfer window we had was. Yeah. All right. Let's go down to, where is it? Oh, I've lost it. There it is, down there. Perfect. All right. New arrivals. Adam Ida gets a B+. Probably because of how much, because we didn't pay anything for him. Chiquinho, we didn't do that ourselves. 10 million, gets an A+. Pereira, B-. I think, well, he's a 687, but he gave us 15 starts, right? Or 15 appearances. I don't know if they were all starts, but I think that's pretty solid. Zan Zalatel gets the signing of the season. B+. I think he's a good player for us. Bonazzoli was new apparently. Masuaku was part of a player exchange with West Ham. Tonyo for 155 grand, gets a C+ primarily because of the transfer fee and the wage. Cisse gets a C+, probably because we didn't pay but 1.8 grand a week for him. And Fazzato gets a C. Transfers out, which again I wasn't really too worried about. I don't really think we did go through this because there's a ton of players that went out on loan, and we sold Akanji. Or Ujkani, sorry. We didn't sell massive players, right? Wait for it. Season results, 17th. I think this is hilarious. The board are disappointed the team barely staved off relegation from the Serie A. However, considering we looked like relegation candidates early in the campaign, things could have been worse. Now, I did tell them that we wouldn't get drawn into a battle. So I guess technically we did get drawn into a battle, so maybe that's the D+, but it's you wanted to not get relegated, and we did just enough there. And I didn't show you this. We stomped Roma. And the Roma manager got sacked. I felt bad because apparently he and I have a good relationship. Should he be my new assistant manager so he could take over when we leave? I don't know. But I mean, really? You upset? You that upset? Top goal scorer Belotti. Moments to remember. Goal of the season is the goal that we've already seen with Roni cutting all the way inside and smashing it home. That was lovely. We had an episode dedicated to Federico Chiesa, giving us a 2-0. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sponsorship and all that. Belotti, Linette, Miete, Falk, and Lukic. No comment. This is not how we lined up. I think that's hilarious. Boy, the management engine is confused. You were in a 4-1-2-2-1. No. Or I guess it's that called it a 4-3-2-1 AM narrow. No. Player of the season Belotti, absolutely. Signing of the season Singo, which I guess I didn't realize he was, or no, young player of the season. Sorry. Signing of the season Zaratel. Goal of the season we've already seen. 20 goals for Belotti, 8 assists for Lanetti, 3 players of the match for Sirigu. Lovely stuff. So I just want to kind of show that to you. Now let's go talk a lot about the transfers. It must be serious if I've got the Mingos on. See, I remember how I was talking about always have a backup plan. Yeah, you always have to have a backup plan. And this is something, maybe I need to put this into a set of videos about when you first take over a club. One of the things you should do, although it is onerous to do this, is to go through and look at all of the potential release clauses. Check out all your player contracts, who's got release clauses, all that kind of stuff. So Singo has had teams sniffing around, but nobody real serious. They're often 30 million or 28 million. It was all in that 25 to 35 million range, plus a bunch of add-ons or whatever. But he had a minimum release clause fee of 58 million euros, and no one was close to it. And he came to me, he's like, I'm upset you didn't let me go to X team. And I was like, mate, if someone matches your value, I mean, that's in your contract. He had like 2 or 3 years left. I'm like, sure, you know? And like, I've been scouting, but like, he's darn good, right? Well, someone activated it on the deadline day. Of course, on the deadline day, just to make life interesting. So that is a massive jump at our bank balance, okay? Well, and partially because of, is it not going to show? It's September 1st, really? You know, because we're getting TV revenue and we're getting revenue from Serie A from last season and whatever. Someone is saying that's the only reason, but it's a big chunk of it. They actually gave us 13 almost and a half in the transfer. No, it was like 17. I don't know why it's different because the wage budget hadn't really changed. They gave us like 17 million to start with, and then it went wonky because all of a sudden we had this big pile of cash sitting in front of us. So let me walk you through. Let's do the outs. Yeah. So Singo has gone 58 million to Southampton. I think they've overpaid. Now, to be fair, he looked amazing in the first 6 games of the season. Look at that. Last season, a 6.85. The season before that, a 6.77. In 6 games, he gave us 2 goals, 3 assists, and 2 players of the match. So he he had that, hey, we get the transfer window coming up. And I think also what has kind of put us in a bad spot is the season started earlier because it's World Cup year in Qatar in 2022. So it's like in November. So that's moved the whole season up. I was like, whoa, preseason's back. What is going on? But that gave him more time to like put himself in the shop window. I probably should have just put him in the under 20s or whatever, but I didn't. And he performed amazing. And then they trigger his release clause for 58 million. Now he's only worth 39 million, but he went from making like 10 grand a week to 105. And it's like, fair, mate. Enjoy. Also on deadline day, we finally got rid of Maxime Lestienne, who was worth 1.2 according to our valuation. I was just trying to get rid. We sold him for $1 million. We bought him apparently 2 seasons ago for 5.5, which was a bit much if you ask me. He's not performed well. A 6.46 last season. And, you know, in fairness, we didn't give him a complete run out, but like he's just average. And it's just like, just get rid of him. Now, this is an interesting one because, again, the season was bumped up. We've loaned out Milico twice already. Yes, twice. I want to say he is on a squad player. Yes, squad player contract with Cagliari. He was also on a squad player contract with Empoli. Now, that says 130 grand. This is what I wish would change. Okay, I guess it does. It does give you that, but is it going to... If I go to another team, is this going to show up? I'm not so sure. Like, I wish it would... It shouldn't give you... This is the total of what they would have paid. And in the first 6 potential games and like a cup game or something like that, they gave him 1 substitute appearance on a 6.7. And he was on a squad player. And I talked to the manager, was like, you got to play him. And he was like, no. And I was like, well, the window's still open, so I'm going to call him back. And so he's gone to Cagliari for 500, or it says 550 grand a month. Okay. Now take a chunk of that out to make up the difference between like the 5 grand in his contract that we are covering. Okay, so 5 grand, 4 weeks is 20 grand. So he's really on 30K or 50K if they don't play him. I think it's a much better deal for us. He's worth 3.5 million, and I just wanted. It's not that I don't like him. He wasn't going to get the game time he needed from us, and so I'm hoping he's going to get it from them and do all right, and his value will go up, and maybe he can play for the team next year under a new manager. I do think this is some good business. We've loaned, but with a mandatory fee, Tonio to Vimonese. Okay, he leaves at the end of the season. However, okay, so we're paying, I guess, 2/3 of his wages. We're paying 5 grand a week of his wages, but they're giving us a monthly fee, so that knocks 400 euros off of that. We're paying 4.5 grand a week, but there's a mandatory future fee of 822 grand, and it was like some installments on top of that. It's a phenomenal deal for a guy that we paid 155K for. He didn't really want to go, and I was like, tough, because we've signed another left back, and I think that's good business for the club. Like, buy a player for 155, sell him for a net of 700 or 800 grand. Do that a couple times a year, you'd be doing all right, wouldn't you? Yes, there are a lot of outs, my friends. We sold Zaza with all the sauce to Udinese for 2.7, I think his value there, 2.7 million. It's just one of those things where we had a lone player coming back, young player, that I think is going to do pretty well. And Zaza's not going to get any better. So it's like, if you're going to sell him, you got to sell him now. Again, the business here is terrible from the club. 12 million euros after you paid a 2 million euro loan fee. And again, see, now that I'm highlighting this, it's not going to tell me, or I guess maybe it's because that was not in the game. It's terrible business, but he was on like, I don't know, 40, 30, 40, 50 grand a week, something like that. So it saves us on the wage budget. I'm not saying it's a fantastic deal, but it's better than getting nothing, I guess. I am going to miss this Sauce, though. Does he have like a thing? Enjoys a big match. You know, flair. I mean, that, I don't know. Maybe this is just that one goal attempt where he tried to back-foot it, and it hit the post. The thing last season. This one I think is kind of a fail, right? I think Adara last year was worth 2 million when we loaned him out. That was kind of the idea. And he just, I mean, he played half a season with Crotone for 14 appearances, 4 goals, 2 assists, except the problem is Crotone is Serie A, so it wasn't like he was going to go for big money. And I think he might have had just a year left on his contract. He's a homegrown prospect, which would have been nice to have from a registration standpoint. But again, he's not really a world beater. And they want us to sell players on for profit, and so we did. We have sold our goalkeeper. Yes, Salvatore Sirigu with the ripped leg or whatever he did and came back from it and was a legend for us at the end of the season. He's gone to Nantes for 1 million euros. Again, he gave us a 6.89 last season, 38 starts, 56 conceded. But again, like, just look at the physicals, right? Like, I mean, mate, if you wanted to be like a goalkeeping coach, I would have maybe kept you. But again, his wages were really high. And it's like, yeah, it was time, man. So who did we bring in? Well, Gauthier Lassonneur, who is a French goalkeeper, 26 grand a week. So we lowered our wage budget compared to the other keeper, and we have a guy who's now going to age into the best part of his playing career, his prime, I guess you would call it, coming from Brest in France's Ligue 2, then Ligue 1. Okay, did a 6.74 last season. Now, they're not exactly world beaters, right? Last season they finished in 12th, so they're FC Lorient-ish. But he's gone 6 appearances, 6 conceded, but 3 clean sheets on a 6.98 thus far for us. We paid 4 million for him. Again, I look at this like we got rid of our old keeper's on like 89 grand. No, Sirigu was on like 89 grand. That number sticks out in my brain for some reason. So, I mean, we got $1 million back from him, plus we lowered our wage budget by, I mean, all like 4 or something. In that way, let's do live math is not fun. Let's not do that. 4.6 million would have been his wages for the next 2 years. So we got that off of our books and got €1 million. So it's almost like I'm not trying to like, be fancy with my math here, but it's almost like we're getting this guy for almost free because of the wages we would have paid versus the wages we're gonna pay, right? So yeah, you paid 4 million, which is really 3 million if you do the transfer fees plus the reduction in the wages. It's like I think it's a good move. So excited to have him, and he's doing all right. I was looking for another left back, but also a player that could play midfield or defensive midfield, because we're losing Danilo. He's not coming back. He also has like damaged Achilles until like October or November. So like, good thing we didn't reloan him. Yeah. So I was looking for a player that was an EU, right? Got to worry about the non-EU versus EU players that could play left back, but also was versatile. And Thomas here, I think, is a decent pickup. He's on 35 grand a week as a squad player, so he's not going to play all the time. Fairly determined. The thing I'm worried about is like anticipation, composure, decisions. Like everything else, he looks like Masuaku. There it is. As you can see here, he's our second best left back. Let me show you some of the other things he can do. He's our 4th best DM, but I do have him training as a DM just to see if we can get that dot here a little bit better. Because I think as a supporting DM, again, it's the mentals that I worry about. But again, we're not going to play him all the time. I think he's all right. We paid 3.8 million for him from a Dynamo Zagreb, and they paid 2.4. So they got a quick little tidy little profit on him. Okay, now add-ons it could go to 5.25, but I don't think we'll be here for that. And even if it goes to 5.25, he's worth more than that theoretically. He's got a little bit of potential ability to like get to, but he's all around versatile player. I think he's all right. Because the club, this is the thing. If this was my save, where I was like, I didn't care what the board said, then I might approach this a little bit differently. Although I think I would have signed this kid anyway. But they want us to sign players under the age of 22 for the first team and for profit. Arthur Billing, we picked up. Now we overpaid because they were getting testy with us here from Vaduz in the Swiss Challenge League. They got relegated from the Super League. He gave him 43 appearances last season with 2 whole goals on a 709. I'm not saying that's the same level as Serie A, but we paid 1.5 million for him, and if he reaches his potential, that will have been a bargain. So that's the thing. 17 years old, breakthrough prospect. We don't have to play him. We have played him in the Coppa Italia. But I think he's a really tiny little player. I think 1.5 million is worth a punt, I guess. This was a punt, and it was almost a little bit of a, well, he's been here on loan or trial, and we kind of have a lack of depth around defensive midfield, even in our under 20s and 18s. Again, getting players on frees. This guy was on a free that we could sell for more in the future. If he reaches his potential, it would have been a good idea. I'm not completely sold on that yet. He didn't make it at Hertha. He did all right in their B team, right? On a 7.0. Not exactly at a high level. Concentration's not great, but I love, he's 20. The physicals are going to continue to increase. All this should increase. He's got 14 on tackling. That's what I was like, ooh, okay. We could work with, we could take a punt for 1.3 grand a week on a 3-year deal and see how he does. Now, do I want him playing in the first team? No, but a little bit of a punt. This guy, I don't believe is an actual punt. We actually had scouted him more. Jens Kastrup, we picked him up from Köln, or Cologne, depending on how you want to say it. Now, he gave him 6 appearances last season, 5 of them subs, on a 6.38. Yeah, but again, put him in a DM slot. That doesn't look too bad. Fairly professional, hardworking midfielder, 19 years old. He's wanted by Salernitana for a loan. We paid 2.1 million. He's worth less than that. But again, with these kids, like if you're gonna rip the kids away from their clubs, you got to pay for it. And I love that he's fairly professional. He's got a good work rate. And he's already made two substitute appearances, one in the league and one in the cup, both on a 6.8. He hasn't looked completely out of place. That's all I'm saying. So again, it's not like I want him to be our starter. You know, if we go back to like DM, he's the 6th best DM. There's quite a few other options. Currently operating at a Serie A level, doesn't have the greatest jumping reach. He's 5'10" with a 6 on the jumping reach. I'm doing what the board wants. They want young players to sell for the future. We're doing that. And now I'm going to show you the players we picked up on deadline day. So once that 58 million release clause was activated, and I was like, oh no. Like, oh no, this is a disaster. I was like, okay, what do we do here? Because we had a problem where Izzo, our right center back, is also now our best right back. And he's not really a right back. Like his crossing and dribbling might be like an 8 and a 9. But I wanted to provide some additional center back cover. Oh, the Thomas, the left back we signed, also part of the deal was he wanted us to see to make improvements in the defense. And we were getting down to the deadline where I was like, I've not been able to do that. And our best right back just left. And I was trying to keep dynamics. But look at Andrea Papetti. Are you serious? 20 years old, Italian, so we don't have to worry about EU, on loan from Arsenal. For 30 grand, that's it. No, like, extra fees on top of that. Was on loan, theoretically, with Atlanta United. They paid 2.6 million for him from Brescia. So he's come back to Italy. He's gonna play. We might, I don't have this figured out yet, to be honest with you, because this all just happened. It's September 1st on the date. He came in yesterday. But we could go to, like, a 3 at the back, which I kind of played with when we were trying to figure something out to play defensively last season. But now we could play like a 3 with a 4-1-2 or something like that, which would be risky, but we've got some like darn good center back depth now that I'm really excited about. Now he's got pulled knee ligaments. He showed up with an injury, but it's like a 2-week knock. It'll be fine. He's resolute. He's a wonder kid. He's right at 14 million. You want to become buddies with me and go to my next club? How you doing? I think, and again, I don't want to play him at right back because he can't cross to save his life, but he can play there, and that was key. 30 grand wages, boom, done. I had another wonder kid. He's a German player that was a left back, but he's either footed. We could have trained him to be at right back, but I can't remember which club it was, but they wanted to, they were not interested in negotiating. Like, I offered 30 million, which was way too much. He's worth like probably 15. And they replied back with the release clause of 86 million. I was like, okay. So Felix Agu here, we had been scouting. I don't know if it was 100%, but like, it wasn't like I was taking a shot in the dark. Have we had to overpay? Yes, we have. We paid 9 million with a bunch of add-ons. It could go up to 11.5, but we haven't like drastic. It's not like he's worth 4 million and we paid 28. Okay. He's a good player. He's squad player key because we have like a whole bunch of rotation and like whoever gets in good form and plays the best is going to be our starting right back. He's also, oh, what is wrong with me? It's the Mingos. I'm distracted. He can also play left back, but I mean, y'all know me. I'm not going to play inverted anything. We're not doing that. Not on the wing backs. I'll play inverted forwards and wingers all day long. Yeah, I understand how that works. Again, decisions and positioning and anticipation and passing needs some work, but he's 22, so he checks that bar. So he checks that box for the board as well. He's pacey. Again, if we this is going to be painful. Singo. What is happening? Can I click, please? I'm not saying they're the same. But this guy's valued at 39 million, making 105 grand, and this guy's not. Could this guy grow to be this player? Maybe. He could be a vague shadow of him. He's got the speed pretty much. He just needs to develop a little bit. Okay? He only got 7 games last season, which didn't help. And Werder Bremen, apparently, did they stay up? Yes, they stayed up. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Different times in Werder Bremen, but only got the 7 appearances. So now he's like, I need some game time. All right, squad player. Let's go. And then there's 2 more here. And honestly, these are just like, we had money left over. And I couldn't get anybody else to come in. That was the frustrating thing. I'll tell you that. When you get 58 million dropped into your transfer budget, or it's like, it was whatever, 80% of 58 million. So 40 something. And like the really, really, really good players have 0 interest in joining you. Like, don't even want to talk about it. Like, almost kind of give you like the, oh, that's cute. Oh, no, not interested. Like, argh. So again, going like, we got money to spend. We had our eyes on some players. I didn't realize, okay, this guy's 17. He's Cameroonian. I thought because he was under 22, it wouldn't count towards our non-EU player. It does. Now, we didn't register him for the league, but apparently it gave us a warning, like, he's the only one you can sign this season, which was like, oh, man. Which is going to make the January window interesting. We'll talk about that here in a second. So maybe we'll loan him out. Again, 1.7 million. We paid 1.5. Picked him up from Montpellier, where he hasn't really played because he's 17. He's a youth prospect, paying 3.6 grand. Now, he did want a squad player contract, which he's not going to like that he doesn't get it. And he's just going to have to deal with that. But look at the teamwork and determination and tackling already at 17. And he's 6'3", needs a little strength, stamina, and pace, a little physical work as he like continues to grow up and mature. But I think he's a darn good-looking little player here. He's just not going to get squad player minutes, so I'm going to have to manage that a little bit. And last but not least, and then we have some free signings that show up. And oh no, there's a big one I forgot to tell you about. Sonder Auckland. We needed another midfielder, to be honest with you. Had I had him fully scouted? Nope. We paid 3.2 million, valued at 3.7, paying 10 grand a week, which is probably a bit much. 6th best, well, it's inverted winger. Okay, if we go to midfield, 7th best midfielder, but does provide some decent depth. And what I also like is the versatility. And he's 19. So again, it goes back to, I just sold a player for $1 million that looks very similar to this. That was a little bit older. Is this going to work out? Not so sure. But I thought, again, it was kind of worth a punt. We had some extra money laying around. And I don't have to worry. Like, if I was staying here for 10 years, I probably would have just brought in a right back, brought in Papetti on loan, maybe bought that center back I just showed you, and then just left it until the January window or next summer, right? Like really get some scouting, like really nailed down, improve our position to where we can attract players for some sort of continental competition or whatever. But that's not the save we're in, my friends. Fairly professional. I also love that. And we'll see how he does. Also, EU, there you go. So this is what the transfer screen looks like. Again, we brought in, and I didn't bring in, but Rony, this guy, Rolando Mandragon. They paid $12 million for him and had given him a star player contract. I've already reduced it to regular starter, and it's going to go down further. Horrific business. Whoever was in charge is doing terrible things. Now, we did get Amath here on a free. Now, and he's been pretty good. He's got 6 starts on a 703. He's our starting left back, or left winger over Rony, who we paid $6 million for, who's worth 12.5. Why? I mean, okay, sure. I mean, he's all right, but fringe player. It's just been interesting. Tahith Chong that we got on a free from Man United. I think I already showed you him, but he's kind of our rotational right winger guy. Yeah, 1 start, 2 subs in league with a cup start on an 8.1. Did really well in preseason. Also 22. Okay. This Chibozo kid that we didn't sign, we've already loaned him out. Gravelon, that we all know and love, has shown up. I'm sure he's like, hey, I didn't mean to insult you. I do love you. You are on my favorite personnel list. And then all the ends. And then the rest, right? Like there's some other players listed here. We got a lot of players out on loan. We sold our 3rd or 4th string goalkeeper, Luca Gemello, because he wasn't going to get any better. You know, it's not anything really exciting. Although we did this Eric Ferrigra was around last season, but only gave us 7 total appearances, 5 starts on a 6.72, 2-star with 3-star potential. Was just trying to get him some game time and to get someone to pay his wages. We'll see what happens. If we want to extend or just let it kind of come to an end. I'm most proud about the Tonyo deal, to be honest with you. I think that's fantastic business. That's where we're at. Now, the ones that haven't come in yet, Kyle McCourt on a free American. Now, again, my assumption was because he was under the age of 22, this would not be a non-EU signing. It doesn't really matter because we wouldn't play him in the league anyway from registration standpoint, but I don't know what that's going to do. The rules in Italy, I remember the rules, but I also remember going like, that's really confusing. Let's just focus on EU players and keep the non-EU's like roster really small. Fairly professional, but like, I mean, this kid's pretty darn good. He's unpaid. He's got to wait till he turns 18 before he can show up essentially. And we'll see what happens when he does. Again, not that he's going to start for us, but like, trying to bring in players that the club will want. And then I love when players from Brazil just have their first name, and it's like, it's not like Ronaldo, it's Kevin. This is Kevin. How you doing, Kevin? Getting him on a free. Not bad, little midfielder, a little rotation option. We need a backup 10 is kind of where I'm at. Chiquinho is going to be our 10. Lukic can play there in a bind, but we really needed like a 10 that also didn't want first team minutes. And so that's a good move. And then Astor Vranksh, yes, 17.5 million rising to 30 million, and I somehow missed that he doesn't join. He's 19. He doesn't join until July 1st from Wolfsburg. He was really the guy I was going for. Like, we signed the Norwegian midfielder after I realized, oh no, that's for next year. So I guess no judgment, on the previous transfers of like 6 million and 12 million for players and giving them star player contracts, and you didn't do it, because that's what I've done. We paid 17 million because I was trying to bring in, and I think he's got the chance. He's a wonder kid. My concern is, right, like they're paying 10 grand a week of his wages, which is kind of interesting. I don't even know how that works. That's really odd. And he's, squad player. Will they play him? They played him last season twice. And so I'm a little afraid he's going to like atrophy while, not being our player. But I want to be honest with you. Like, this is, I can see a club maybe making a mistake like this where I was like, I got to get somebody in, panic stations, and then like go ahead and click accept, and then afterwards it's like he'll join on July 1st. I was like, what? No, but that's how it goes. That being pushed aside, results have been all right. We beat Benevento, 2-0. They had a man set off in the 69th minute, and we scored 2 goals afterwards. So thank you very much, sir. Cagliari beat us, which was ugly. Not much really to say, that we just couldn't get going. We beat Genoa 4-2, which was lovely. Got a brace from Bonazzoli, who is our starting right winger now. Sanabria is the kid that came back on loan, who's our rotational attack force. Now you'll note he has 3 starts and 3 subs. That's because Bellotti has had a knock. He had sprained ankle ligaments for the first 4 weeks of the season. So he's literally just now getting back into it. He's got 2 starts, a sub with 2 goals on a 7.1. And although this guy doesn't enjoy big matches, I thought, if I was going to go buy another striker, this guy wants squad player minutes, right? So it's not like he's, 1, he wants the right amount of minutes, and 2, I couldn't get the really good players to be attracted to us. Actual surplus to requirements. Oh, it's how much, I don't know what that's about. Maybe in the past, but so he's coming in and done a job for us. Then we beat Renate, who is, yes, my friends, a Serie A team, a smashing 3-0. That's why I didn't show it to you, because I was like, well, we might as well just go straight to the end of the transfer window. Lanetti here. I want to show you this goal. And yes, this was the winning goal. This is where I was glad we were like making tactical adjustments. But Lanetti, watch this. I think this is a wonderful volley. Maybe? Amath? Lanetti? Nope, not a volley. Just rockets it. That was Fabinho against Man City-esque, like just Orqueta maybe, like just smashed it. We're like, oh, hello, good on you, and we won the game. Then we lose to Milan, my friends. I want you to take a quick look. Oh, hello, camera. Quick look up at at when the goals happened. The camera's still messed up. We were up 2-0 in the 27th minute. Now, I was expecting them to come back, but we completely capitulated in the second half. Goalkeeper ends up with a 6.4. Maybe I should have gone like park the bus, because it was like, oh my gosh, we're beating Milan. And it was just like one of those games where it's like nothing that I did helped. And we just got a little nervous, and that's what happens. Then we come back, though. I was really happy because we beat Udinese 3-0. Bellotti gets a goal. Chiquinho gets a brace. Lovely game. Goalkeeper back on form, 7.5. So again, I just want to remind you, last season, 37 points. This season, 6 games in, 12 points. Like, we're a win and some things going our way from being in the Champions League spots, which I think is a little ambitious, and it's going to get much more difficult here. We play Empoli in 19th. Haha, you loaned a player, now we yanked him back. Fiorentina in 6th, which is... They finished 13th last season. Okay, early days. Atalanta in 8th, and then we take on Bologna, who are currently in 18th, my friends. So I will bring you this, because this is where it starts getting serious. That's a Serie A team versus a Serie A team. And then this is where I think it gets tough. Napoli in 3rd, Sampdoria, who were pretty good last season, Monza, who got promoted, a little bit of a break, and then Inter and Lazio, or Lazio, then Inter, who currently in 12th, back-to-back. And then a big break until after Christmas, where we come back to take on Juve. Not the best. So we'll probably do Bologna as an episode, and maybe Lazio and Inter, just to see how we would do against the big boys. But we're doing all right. That's the thing. Like, in the games where, aside from Cagliari, where I feel like we should have gotten points, we've gotten points. And I guess you're swapping Roma for Cagliari, right? So I didn't expect us to beat Roma. Instead, we do. So we'll take it. And we've lined up as a 4-2-3-1. Again, I would do a 4-3-3. We do have that in our locker here in some of the more difficult games, and it has worked. I think that was one of the things we did against Milan. But I've also thought about doing a 4-4-2 because of the Bellotti and Sanabria, and because we're not as strong from the midfield standpoint. So if we ever get to a point where we've got an injury to one of our starting 3 midfielders, Mete is okay, Mandragon's okay. But like if we needed to try something else, we could try essentially like I always think 4-4-2 direct counterattack is Leicester. That's what I think. At least a couple of seasons ago, Leicester. Jamie Vardy, Leicester. And so we could do something like that. like I mentioned earlier, we could do something with 3 center backs, even like a 5-3-2 or a 5-2-3. Nah, it doesn't really help us, does it? But something to involve more of the center backs, and again, kind of give our not have 3 midfielders if we don't have to. So, kind of playing around with it, but that this is how we've been lining up with this squad right here. I mean, Gravelon and Zalatel have rotated, and then Papetti will rotate, obviously, because of his injury. Masuaku wanted to go to Bologna. They offered like 3 million, and I didn't have room. I'm actually gonna take that off because I was like, I'll go after some left back and overpay. If you'll pay me 10 million for a guy worth 3.1, I'll go pay 8 million for another player and come out ahead. And we just couldn't get the deal done. So he's not real pleased, but that's okay. We could sell him in the winter. My friends, I'm going to leave it here. It's a lot. That's the most, I mean, I don't know if I've ever had this many players come in. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 players. Now, 1, 2 had already been here. Okay, 2 had already been here. 1, 2, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-ish are not really been brought in to plug gaps. But like, that is so much movement, and I'm kind of nervous. The dynamics have been okay, right? Managerial support's good. There's actually players that like me now. Whoo, Bellotti, model citizen, Chiquinho, fairly professional, thank you. And then, you know, the new signings are like, yeah, you're a good dude. Everyone else is like, yeah, I'm still not convinced, but we'll see how it goes. Hit the like button, my friends. Would you have left 12 million in the bank for the future? Especially after making the mistake on the midfielder for next summer. Leave it in the comments. We'll see you next time. Bingos. See you later.